Welcome back to Action 2 News at 6. Today, the Wisconsin Elections Commission discussed their planning process for if they need to do a presidential vote recount this election.
The commission hopes to prepare municipal and county clerks to best communicate with the campaigns if a recount would be needed for this election. According to the commission, 4 of the last 6 presidential elections have been within the recount margin of 1%. Their method of sharing information from counties in the days following the election is among minor changes approved by the commission today. The commission will post a spreadsheet of unofficial election results of the federal races and any state races with tight margins so that all interested parties can see where a recount might be requested.
We don't want to be thinking about it for the first time when there is some type of recount pending. We want to think about it ahead of time and make sure that everybody's prepared to provide that information in a very expedited way.
The day a possible recount would start depends on what day the candidate makes an official request and when the commissioner would then initiate the order.